Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing Splendor from Space Cowboys. Splendor is a game of tableau building, a game of building out a variety of jewels and gems in order to get a better engine up and running so you can buy more expensive jewels and gems, so you can get a better engine up and running so eventually a player can get to 15 points. Along the way, you'll also be vying for the favor of various nobles up here by specifically having the gems of the colors that they want, but then past that, you're trying to get the points. You can see over here, the nobles have points, some of the cards have points, some of the cards have no points, which leads to the question of why you would want those cards, and that goes back to the fact that this is a tableau building game. A tableau building game is the idea that as you play the game, you're going to be building up your tableau, you're going to be getting stronger, more powerful as you play, and in Splendor, what you're going to be doing on your turn is you're going to be either taking 2 gems of the same color or 3 gems of different colors. So for example, I can go ahead and say I'm going to go ahead and take these gems over here. In fact, I'm actually going to go ahead and just gather a black, a blue, and a red. We're going to go ahead and take those over here. Someone else may go ahead and take, we'll take a 1, this, that, and yellows are wild. You can't take those the same way. We'll come back to how you can get yellows later, but we'll take those 3, and then from there, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and double down. I'm just going to grab 2 black right off the bat. So I'm going to take 2 black. They'll go ahead and take third action. Maybe they go for a red, a blue again, and another black, trying to get those. And again, you can have any number of players, well, not any number of players. You can have a 2 to 4 player game, and you're trying to gather gems as you go through it, trying to get the cards on the table. So you're going back and forth taking actions. Again, 2 of the actions you can take are taking 1 gem of 3 different colors. So taking 3 gems of different colors, or taking 2 gems of the same color. There are 2 more actions we'll cover shortly, but let's get to that in a second, which leads to the next action, which is I'm going to return to the supply 3 black gems in order to buy this card that has a 3 cost of black. So I'm going to add that to my own private tableau. We're going to pull out another card, add it to the board, and this card has that cost over there, but I currently have a blue gem that I can use towards the purchase of any cards. I'll go back to their turn. Maybe they go ahead and pull, you know what, they're a little worried here because they see I have those 2. They're going to go ahead and grab 2 blues so that they can go ahead and take this card before I do. I see what they've done. I can't really stop that. I might still grab 2 blue, or maybe I want to try to, decisions. I'll go ahead and grab a red, a green, and a white. We'll grab those over there. Back to their turn. They're going to go ahead and spend these 3 in and take that card. We're going to move that to the side, put out a new card, and we'll see what we have over here. They'll add it to their tableau. And we have this one over here, which still uses a blue. It uses 2 red, which I have, and it uses 2 black, which I also have. I can't take that one right now. If I take 2 blacks, maybe I could take it. I don't mind having a green. We'll go ahead and take 2 black. It's over there on their turn. They still can't buy it. They actually have close to it, but they don't have enough, so they're going to grab a red, this, and let's go ahead and get a green. We'll go ahead and get a green. That makes no sense. We'll grab a blue, a white. We'll take a white over there. We'll grab those cards over there, and then it's my turn, and I will go ahead and trade in these 2, as well as these 2, and honestly, I probably should have shown you something else a second ago, as well as we don't need to trade in the blue because we have a blue from this gem. This is a good part to indicate that as you're building up your gems, you can use the gems on your cards to add to your tableau, which makes everything cheaper, which is how, because you might be wondering, how do I buy a card that costs 3, 5, 3, 3? That's incredibly expensive. Well, as you play through the game, you'll be getting more gems like I just did now. And so now I have access to a blue and a green gem for anything I want to purchase. It's back to their turn. They see this card over here that costs 3. They'd love to get that. They're going to go ahead and gather this blue, this red, a blue, and a black over here. Let's go ahead and grab those over there, put them off to the side. Back to my turn, and I'm going to do something a little bit annoying. I'm going to reserve this card. What I'm going to do is at any point you can reserve a card, taking that card and taking a single, you can't build it yet, it's not built, and taking a single gold gem, which is a wild gem. And those are the 4 actions you can take. You're going to be either taking 3 gems, taking 2 gems of the same color, reserving a card along with a gold gem, or buying a card in the game. That's what you're doing in Splendor, and you're doing all of that to eventually be able to, and building that card later, the one I just reserved, will cost me an action, but you're doing all of that in order to eventually get to a point where you can have 15 points. You'll gather points from the cards themselves, so for example, over here you can see that the high level cards do have points. You're buying the cheaper cards to work your way up to the mid-tier cards, to work your way up to the high level cards, but additionally at any point, if I have the right combination of gems, so you can see already I'm working towards this noble over here, where once I have 4 green and 4 blue cards, I'll be able to immediately attract that noble, which will give me an extra 3 points towards the end game. And that's Splendor. Continue buying cards until you eventually get to a point where you have 15 points, and that player will win the game. So, well, actually, technically speaking, you continue playing until the players have an even number of turns, and then whoever has the most points wins the game. In any case, let's go into the review part, starting off with ease of play. This game is incredibly easy to teach, incredibly easy to dive into. Rulebook is what we have here. We have 2 pages of rules basically. It's very easy to get into, very accessible game. Playtime comes in usually at under half an hour. The table space is fairly minimal. In all accounts, this is a very accessible game. Player count, this is a 2 to 4 player game. I've played this at all player counts, and I think it works well at all player counts. The more players there are, it slightly slows down the game, but this is so fast moving as an experience that you barely notice it. I think it works excellently at all player counts. As far as what I think about the game, as far as my review of Splendor, I really enjoy Splendor. Splendor's a game that hit the market, I don't even know, I want to say 2012, I want to say it hit the market, I could be mistaken, but it hit the market, and it became a family favorite very quickly because of how accessible and rewarding it is. And it is accessible and it is rewarding. It's a quick, simple engine in which you're going to take of just one action a turn, just one action again and again and again, until eventually you get to a point where you have an impressive tableau of gems in front of you, and that moment where you just have a pile of cards in front of you, and you go ahead and buy that 7 over here, or buy one of these, those moments are incredibly fun to have. And those are moments where you're working towards the end game. You're building up a tableau, and that is always satisfying. It is always satisfying in games to build up a tableau, to get something up and running, to have an engine that is working for you. And in Splendor, you always have that happening. Even if other players are about to win the game, which is one of the nice things about the game, because even if someone else is about to win the game right now, they also, the entire time, whoever's about to win, you're both working towards your engine. You're both building something. It's not a game of conflict. It's not a game of you versus them. Yes, there is a winner, but you're building and having fun and enjoying the process, and eventually someone will close the gap and win, but you managed to build something up in the meantime. You managed to get something up and running. You managed to build an engine that is working for you, and you're doing that in an incredibly accessible, simple to play, easy to teach, easy to table game that makes Splendor very, very compelling at first glance. I say at first glance because I do think it is a game that does show its age over time. I think Splendor is fantastic. I think it's a solid game. I highly recommend it. I recommend you pick this game up if you are interested in board games in general. This is a great first game to dive into. This is a great medium game to dive into. This is a great game in general, and it's very rewarding, but it's also a one-trick pony. It is doing the exact same thing every single time you play, and so the downside of Splendor is that it wears that welcome thin. You'll play through this game and it'll be so much fun, and you'll play it again, it'll be so much fun, and you'll teach it to your friends, gamer or non-gamer alike, and they'll have so much fun. And then eventually, before you know it, you'll have 25 plays under your belt, 25 plays of the exact same game that had the exact same puzzle that didn't really mix the experience up significantly at all, and so it's a game that is both incredibly accessible and highly engaging game that I highly, highly recommend is one of the best gateway games you can currently buy, but also a gateway game in the sense that it's a gateway game that will, I believe, for many people, slowly move out of their collection as they continue to play it and start to see that, while great, it doesn't change the experience up. Now, there's an expansion. You can dive into that. I never actually did. The Cities of Splendor is an expansion with a few modules. I never really played that, so I can't really speak for how it mixes up the experience. But overall, Splendor is both an incredibly addictive and a great recommendation, while being a game that will only hold its own for so long. Overall, this one I'd give a 3.5 out of 5. I really like it. I really recommend it. And that 3.5, if I was rating this game based on the first 2 or 3 plays alone, it would probably be higher because of how compelling this game is. But it does show its lack of variability fairly quickly. So 3.5 out of 5, although one of the best gateway games I can recommend. As far as other game recommendations, if you're looking for other games, I think 2 ways to step up your game a notch would be Century Golem Edition, and Century Spice Road and Century Golem Edition are the same game, to be very clear, but I think that is a great next step up that gives you the same basic concepts of Splendor, the same tableau building, the same very rewarding, but gives you a bit more strategy to the experience, keeping it fresher for a little longer. But Century Golem Edition has the gems, has the prettiness, all those aspects, but a very compelling experience. And then if you're looking for something that will also give you a degree of tableau building, but with a lot more decision space, I think Seven Wonders is another solid gateway game. All 3 of these are going to be great gateway games. I think Splendor is likely the most accessible, especially if you're introducing it to non-gamers or if you're non-gamer yourself. But non-gamer is a relative term. It sounds so gatekeeping. What I mean by non-gamer is somebody who has not heavily involved themselves into the world of tabletop games just yet. That's all that really means. But whether you are that person or not, or whether you're friends with those people, I think Splendor is likely the best gateway from the 3. But I think the other 2, Century Golem Edition as well as Seven Wonders, I think they have a little bit more in terms of legs. In any case, and until next time, I hope you found this video helpful. As always, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.